Here goes the intro.
This is the most somber intro to a behind the scenes. Except
Messy.
for Loch Ness.
Messy. DJ on the
350.
ones and twos. What up, nerds? Welcome to another rousing episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 225, recorded on Sunday, July 28, 2019. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the winner of the July poll pick, Halloween Resurrection, the theme for which was movies that I would hate. We're about to
An illustrious prize.
Yeah. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C. for the last time, Randy Gandy G. Landy.
Hello, old salt. How are you?
Well, I am well. How are you?
Great. This is really good banter. We got
Yes.
this shit down.
We're killing it. We're killing it. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, sir?
What up? It's your boy. Fed up Stains, I think. I don't know. I'm over this. We're
Fucking
just now
technology.
starting, and I'm about to break some shit. Break your fucking face tonight, or whatever he says. with a
Halloween Resurrection will do
chainsaw.
that to you.
Oh, man.
It should be a good episode because I think all of us have separate stressors that are hitting at the same time, right as we're about to review fucking Halloween Resurrection. So
That
this should
is
be great.
true.
Should be,
That is true. We're all in a
we're all going
sour
through some
place.
shit right now.
As of right now, I'm okay. Last week, I was about to, blast through a window or something, but I'm okay now.
That's me
Shit
right
seems
now.
to
I'm about to
work.
just start
Yeah.
kicking the walls.
Some Omar Spider-Man shit.
We had some technical difficulties last week. Those seem to be fixed, but have now been replaced with other technical difficulties.
There's
So bear with
always
It's what
some
we
shit.
do.
I think we just
What we-
radiate some sort of poisonous magnetic field that
Poisonous.
just fucks everything.
I mean, how else do you explain this podcast being even remotely successful?
That's true.
We
We're
are
infecting the airwaves. in
There's a
your
lot of
ear
people that hate themselves out there, so we're just there for those people.
Damn.
We're
You're welcome.
fucking with your lives.
You're welcome. Let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. So you only have a few days left to vote for our August poll pick. If you support us at the $5 level or above on our Patreon website, you can vote on a movie we're going to talk about next month. The theme for next month is 90s horror movies, and the movies that are up there are Army of Darkness, Thinner, and Scream 2. Army of Darkness definitely still winning. Thinner, if everybody voted Thinner, then Thinner might actually be able to win, but Army of
Well,
Darkness is
yeah,
pretty
that's
far
how
ahead.
voting works, Bob.
All the people who have not voted yet, if they all voted Thinner now, maybe I wasn't clear.
This is why-
enough.
That's why we advocate for ranked choice
If
voting. This is why we
everyone
do it.
voted for Thinner, then it would win.
I
Well,
need to
yeah.
explain how voting works. Go to the polls, rock the vote if you haven't already. Justin, do you have any YouTube or Twitch stuff?
We have one more Twitch stream for this month coming up tomorrow night, Monday night, for Friday the 13th, the game. Last week we had a ton of fun. We had an even bigger group than the first week. It was a lot of fun. No more Silent Bob. I was coming in. More technical difficulties, so the audio sounds a little rough, but
Yeah.
we played for almost 2 hours in our own. We figured out how to do our private match or whatever, so it's all straight chilling crew and everything. It was a lot of fun. We're playing one more time. Playing one more time Monday night. I am on a special schedule because of summer vacation with the kids. So we typically start at 8. Got to start at 7 this week. That's 7 p.m. Monday night Eastern time. And I'll try to play for about an hour and a half with the squad again. And yeah, it's a blast. A lot of people tuned in last week too, not only to play but to watch. So we have like a spot or two left. Rickety might be joining us. I need to reach out to him. But we almost had a full squad. You can have like 8 or 9 people in a group, and it was almost full. It was good.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. Evan was killing the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, I killed everybody too, Bob. Come on.
Nah, you're not that good.
Any Tommy Jarvises out there this way?
Yeah, Bobby Jarvis over here. Bob.
Oh, nice.
Jarvis.
Bobby Jarvis.
I didn't handle it very well.
Tommy's brother, Bobby.
I tried. Fucking Bobby Bob Jar.
Yeah, it's always fun. We're like, yeah, we got a Bob Jar, or we got a Tommy Jarvis, but then it always rolls up as Bobby Jarvis, and he just doesn't really help us that much.
I'm basically useless. Yeah. I have
Bob gets like the strongest player in the game, shotgun, extra agility, and he just fucks it away.
I jogged for a while.
Rob would probably do better as the little Tommy Jarvis, shaving his head and acting weird. Probably a more better schema for him. They should work that into the game somehow.
They should. Faux show. Yeah, that's pretty much all we have as far as housekeeping goes. Kind of light on the housekeeping this week. Let's go ahead and talk about what we've been watching. Yo, Randy, what you been watching?
There hasn't been a ton this week. Like last week, I've been insanely busy, so I've just mainly had like The Wire on repeat or on just on autoplay, just letting that thing roll while I'm, in the thick of it. Other than that, like the only thing of note that I watched was Becky and I finally finished up this season of Big Little Lies, which I've mentioned on the podcast before as something that I've really enjoyed, and that season finale was fucking awesome to me. Apparently, it's kind of like gotten mixed reception from people, but I sure as shit loved it. Like acting in that fucking show is so good. So, I mean, I would just say that. Other than that, though, really not a whole lot. Sorry, light this week.
That's all right. Juice, what you been watching?
Dude, they uploaded Fresh Prince of Bel-Air onto Netflix. I don't know if that's been on the American Netflix for a while, but I just got it on Korean Netflix. And it was in the highlighted one. And I just got my wisdom teeth taken out on Friday, which probably adds to my just general cranky demeanor. But, so I didn't work on Friday, so I was just watching some Fresh Prince. That shit, like, put me in a good mood, though. That shit takes me back immediately.
Are you sure it wasn't the Tylenol 4?
Well,
or the ill-advised alcohol that you took with your antibiotics?
That is true. Yeah, I was. So that's a funny story. What I've been doing. So since I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I've been on a liquid diet, like no solid foods for like 4 days now. I've been living off smoothies, literally. But then somebody invited me to go out drinking last night. I was like, well, I can't eat, but I mean, I can drink. So I just was drinking last night.
Adults.
I have no solid food in my stomach for days. So I didn't like drink.
Your fucking
and it was also,
body sends you a cease and desist letter.
It was also one of those things where it's like we have this really awesome craft brewery in town, and they have just like a ton of like crazy beers, but they have a specific location where you can pour your own. So you like go. So we went to that one, and so I was just like pouring my own beers, and it was happy hour. So my bill should have been like $75, and it ended up being like $33. So I was pleased with that.
That's a fuck ton of beer, dude.
That is a good discount.
Dude, and when you pour them yourself, it just gets a little wily.
I don't even know.
So that's what I've been. That's what I've been doing, but
your
I've been watching.
Liver has got to have you like severing the relationship at this point. Like, no, not dealing with this.
So Fresh Prince, dude. The only thing about that shit, it reminds me how much I fucking can't stand and can barely tolerate, and it's only because it's Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fucking laugh tracks, dude. Holy shit. Like, it's one of those things you completely forget about until it's like right in your face, and it's just like so persistent. Laugh track, I fucking hate them. They're terrible. Holy shit. They're just like this extra noise that just like clouds the whole like fucking show. I watched like 30 seconds of The Big Bang Theory, like at one point, because people were like, "Oh, this show," and because it had a laugh track, I was like, "Nope, I refuse. I cannot
Well,
watch
that's
this."
like that's your problem. Like the Fresh Prince is less so, but like when you get into like late '90s, early 2000s sitcoms, especially like fucking Big Bang Theory, literally every line is supposedly a joke, and they like I think they probably rattle out like 4 lines per minute, and just like just seconds of.
Dude,
It's fucking. I remember that shit starting on that '70s show. It was so fucking annoying. Every line doesn't have to be a fucking ball buster laugh track.
Yeah, and I remember even going back when that new Full House came out. I went back and watched like some old Full House. I was like, oh yeah, Full House, and it was kind of the same thing. It was like Bob Saget like dropping the line, the pause with the laugh track. It's like, holy shit! I'm so glad I'm past that now. I like watch no shows with laugh track.
There's shows that are okay with that. Like the classics are fine, like because they were kind of like it was live audiences for starters, but I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
This is a whole conversation that we can talk about forever. So.
Well, yours was light on the what you've been watching, so I figure we could get into some shit.
I defer my time to the gentleman in SoCo.
But Bob, what have you been watching recently?
I watched
some good things. I hope. Yeah.
Some things. So I watched another David Lynch joint. I watched Firewalk with Me. Which is weird, man. It's the Twin Peaks movie, and I haven't seen the majority of Twin Peaks the show. I've seen almost all the first season, so I think there's a lot of stuff that was happening that I just didn't fucking understand at all. And after I watched it, I texted Randy and I was like, "What the fuck is this movie about, dude?" And he had to like break it down for me, because it is definitely not a linear plot. There's kind of like characters coming in and out, and they're not normal people, and they don't do normal things, and some of them speak backwards, and you're just like, what in the fucking world is this movie actually about? But it's got some pretty uncomfortable stuff. It's David Lynch, so it looks good. It's definitely interesting. I don't know that I can say I enjoyed it. Maybe if I watched it a second time, kind of knowing what he's driving at, I would probably pick up on a lot more things and I might enjoy it a lot more. But it's fucking bizarre. That's for sure.
Weird.
I thought many times about back when we were picking the movies ourselves. Thought many times about picking that just to force you to watch it because I know you didn't get off on anything Lynch for a long time. And I also knew that Justin kind of got a little bit into Twin Peaks for a bit, and that movie is like. It's fucking weird. Even if you like seen all of Twin Peaks, it's like David Lynch doesn't allow you to just kind of passively accept, a story. You have to work through it emotionally, and like logic doesn't really help. It's all just like about deals over reels and all that shit. It's fun. I love it. And that particular movie like kind of kicks all kinds of ass for me. Like that one in particular in David Lynch's shit. I love it. I could talk about that one forever.
It's been like what, 2 years since I watched Twin Peaks. I should watch it and see if I can. And I never finished season 2, unfortunately, because it just got real bad. But I wonder if I could hop in.
You could definitely watch the movie. Is a prequel. It talks about it's the last days of Laura Palmer.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Like, still know that stuff, but you can go into it and you'll be a little more confused than you would have been otherwise. I would say watch the last episode of the series of season 2, and then you're prepped for Firewalk with Me, because that's when it came out too.
Okay.
It was after season. And there's a few references that you won't get otherwise, but for the most part, it's still gonna be fucking oblique no matter what you do.
Yeah, it's weird. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, I watched a movie from the '80s called Weird Science. It's just like a light high school comedy.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it before. It's pretty good. It's pretty funny. It's like dumb.
Isn't that where the dude makes the robot and it like gropes women or something?
What?
No. It's the boy makes a woman, which he intends to grope.
Okay. I got a little backwards.
He makes a sexy woman from science in his bedroom.
Yeah,
gotcha.
This
does things.
Lady, Randy watched the movie. I'll let him tell you about it.
Oh no. I just felt
No,
like we need
yeah.
to get that out.
It's problematic for sure, but it's like this lighthearted romp where these kids create this Frankenstein creature, and of course she's like a hot lady, and she teaches them to have like self-respect and stand up for themselves and whatnot. It's some of the jokes are like racist. So, I don't know.
I love the dramatic lead into the word racist.
I know.
Very effective stuff.
I know the 80s was a different time or whatever, but it definitely took some of the shit they said took me by surprise, and I was like, damn, they're really kind of going for it here. I don't know. It's
there was some
funny
fucked
enough,
up shit going on in the 80s. Remember when we watched that?
Racist?
The kids like fight Dracula or whatever, and they essentially just blackmail that girl with like nudies that they took from her window.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, 80s, yeah, Monster Squad.
Doxing girls back before you had the internet to help.
That's some fucked up shit. Analog
doxing.
I'm a dox you analog style.
Analog doxer. No, I now have a DJ name. At least it's that.
DJ
It's the one.
Anal dox.
Specifically doxing anal material. Material about your anus.
Damn, this took a turn.
Hashtag DJ Anal Docs on Twitter, please.
I want to see it trending.
Oh, man.
Lastly, I watched a movie called Humanoids from the Deep, which is from 1980. It's a B movie, very much an exploitation joint, low budget as fuck. It's like it reminded me of Jaws a little bit in that it's set in like a small seaside town, and there's like this thing in the water killing people. But it's Jaws if Jaws was made with like zero class whatsoever. It's pretty trashy, but it's a lot of fun for an exploitation movie because they show you the monster. And they show you a lot of the monster, and it's just ripping people apart. So yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Kind of thing.
I really want to see. I'm really interested in seeing a movie where like you see Jaws like peek through into the women's locker room or something through a hole in the wall or some shit. I want to see Porky's version of Jaws.
That's this movie.
Does that happen?
That's exactly.
Well, fuck.
Movie, yeah.
Sign me up. Get me the steel blue case blue.
Yeah, I literally have the steelbook.
That's $45, Randy.
It's not.
That's at least a few chunks of jet ski.
Bob, that's a new propeller right there.
My propeller.
I don't know if jet skis have propellers.
I don't believe they do.
I don't know either.
But yeah, it's pretty trashy. It's pretty exploitative, but it's fun as hell for what it is, I guess. So if you're into that type of movie, I would recommend you check it out for sure. But that's pretty much what I've been watching. Let's jump into the main event and talk about Halloween Resurrection and start off with the back of the box. All right. Halloween Resurrection from 2002, directed by Rick Rosenthal. The synopsis is as follows. 3 years after he last terrorized his sister, Michael Myers confronts her again before traveling to Haddonfield to deal with the cast and crew of a reality show which is being broadcast from his old home. Starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Busta Rhymes, Brad Lorry, Tyra Banks, some other people that I don't really recognize their names. So this movie right here is a thing that was made. It's kind of like the end of the original like Halloween Laurie Strode story. So this would be like the fourth movie in this Halloween timeline. So you've got the original Halloween and Halloween 2, then you've got Halloween H2O, and then Resurrection is kind of the fourth and final in this sort of installment or timeline of Halloween movies.
So does like the Cult of Thorn and shit, does that not?
No, that's
The
like
Cult of Thorn is not involved.
yeah, that's another timeline. The franchise. is
Okay, it's a
confusing.
different time. So what? Like
Yeah.
Halloween 3 and 4 are
It's-
not.
Now 3 stands
No.
off all
3,
on
4,
its
and
own.
5 are.
Oh yeah,
Halloween.
3. Yeah, 3 is its own, and then what's
and
4?
4, 5, and 6 is its own
4 and
story
5,
entirely.
6. Yeah, that's
Okay, I don't think I've
it's
seen
the
any
Daniel
of those.
Harris Paul Rudd series. I
Yeah,
like those
yeah.
ones actually. Not the first so much, but
Yeah.
this is like
They're not
H2O was the first like hard reboot that they did.
Okay,
And then
Yeah.
this follows that sequence.
and
Yeah.
isn't Jamie
It's
Lee
just like
Curtis
fucking
in
Zelda
H2O
timeline
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like the star of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we are,
Busta
Buster Rhymes.
Dude,
this.
we're gonna talk about some Buster Rhymes.
We're going to talk about a lot
Are
of
we?
things.
I-
So,
I have notes.
that's really
notes.
that's
I
really
never write,
all I
but
want
I
to
had
talk
to write
about.
down so many.
I have a lot of things written down. Before we get into it, had we seen this movie before, and would we recommend people check it out? Randy, why don't you start us off?
Oh, the answer to both questions is so no. It's a no, man. It's a no. I have never seen this movie, and it was intentional. I had heard knew enough. I also didn't like H2O that much, which I mean, I guess people seem to like it at the time. There's definitely got its followers, but it never did a whole lot for me. So I was in no way interested in watching the movie where Laurie Strode gets killed off instantly, theoretically. I forgot the
Well, we
spoiler
haven't
warning
dropped
has
that
not dropped yet.
spoiler warning, Randy.
You can roll
Yeah,
that
it's like in
back,
the
right?
first 15 minutes, though. Whatever.
Whatever. I just had no interest in seeing a reality show driven version of fucking Halloween, especially following up on H2O. So, no, I had never seen it, and having seen it, I made a good decision. I feel really good about that most of my life decision that I managed to successfully avoid this movie. But I, as a completionist, there also is that I do get to finally put that bingo card to rest. So I am happy for that. No, I don't recommend it.
Cool. Justin, what about you, man?
I had never seen this movie, and here's the key to everything, I think, is
Antibiotics while watching?
yeah. No, I actually watched this before I got my teeth ripped out. So I went in. Everybody's been talking so much shit about this movie, so I went in with the lowest expectations, thinking this was just gonna be the biggest pile of shit, and it is, but but expecting that, I was like, hey, I enjoyed myself a little. I was able to enjoy myself, knowing that it was so shit, and going in and being curious about Busta Rhymes and everything. I was able.
It is an amusing watch.
Yeah, I wasn't hating myself the whole time I was watching this. I was like, oh, at first I was. It seems to get progressively better. Maybe once you're just swimming in the shit, you can't smell it anymore. But
Ooh, I had an opposite reaction, but we can talk about that in a second.
What a phrase!
All right.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, would I recommend? No.
I saw this movie in the movie theater when it first came out, and I was definitely not a fan of it. And I got that the box set of all the Halloween movies that came out a few years back, and I'd watched all of the movies again, even the Rob Zombie movies in that box set, with the exception of this one. I never revisited this one until now, and I watched it, and it's actually somehow worse than I remember it being, which is crazy.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy this poll pick went so well.
I know, after Bob botched the last one.
I didn't remember a whole lot about it. I remember Laurie died at the beginning, which is fucking dumb. But this movie's terrible, and I only recommend it if you're a Halloween completist. That's the only reason you need to watch it, because it's very bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
I actually I'm kind of motivated to watch it with you guys, or sometime next time we're together, and just get fucking shit plastered doing it. Should record that shit. That's one other way you could watch this movie. But go on. I think we're ready to roll.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I'll drop that spoiler warning, and here we go. All righty. So, yeah, the first kill in this movie is Laurie Strode. What the fuck? Like, why is Laurie Strode even in this movie
Yeah.
at all? If that's what you're gonna do.
Do you want the answer to that question? Because I have it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, let me read to you some of the forthcoming trivia. Jamie Lee Curtis agreed to do her part only to make sure that her character, Laurie Strode herself, would not appear in another sequel. At the time of the film's initial release, executive producers Malek Akkad and Mustafa Akkad tried to explain it by claiming Jamie Lee Curtis was so impressed with the screenplay that she wanted a large part in it. She has publicly stated that this was not the case. She was under contract to do it. And then it says Jamie Lee Curtis was quoted as saying she considers this film a joke.
Good.
Oh, shit. That makes a lot of sense. Because the way, the end of Halloween or H2O, the way H2O ends is Laurie beheads Michael Myers, like head cut the fuck off.
It's supposed to be final.
Dead.
Right.
It's supposed to be final, but so they start this movie out by showing you that Michael actually switched outfits with a paramedic, and so there's this other guy. He put his mask on. Jamie chopped that dude's head off, and then Michael just like walked off in the woods wearing this paramedic jumpsuit. And so like Laurie Strode is I think it said Jamie. Sorry, Laurie Strode is in this like insane asylum at the beginning of Resurrection, and she's like dealing with having murdered somebody, and then of course Michael comes back to get her, and so she lures him to the top of this building where she has this like winch, that she rigged up a winch. She has like this whole fucking plan. Michael like steps into this rope, and she like hits a button, and the winch like raises him up in the air, and he's dangling off the ledge of the building, and he starts like, I hate this scene so much. He starts like grabbing the sides of his face, which causes her to have a flashback to the person whose head she chopped off, because that's what that guy was doing, is grabbing the sides of his face. So she's like, oh, I better pull the mask off and really make sure that it's Michael.
Oh, yeah.
It is,
that's what
because this dude is literally trying to kill her.
Hang on.
Yeah, he walked outside with a knife and was walking at you, ready to stabby face on.
True. That's true.
So she tries to pull the mask off. He of course grabs her, and they flip off the side of the building, and he's holding on to the ledge over his shoulder behind him with two fingers. He's supporting his body weight and her entire body weight with two fingers, because he's a fucking Terminator or something. And then he stabs her in the back with a knife, and then she kisses him on the lips. She kisses Michael Myers, who is her brother who's trying to murder her, on the lips. And then she says, I'll see you in hell, and falls to her death. That is the worst scene in all of Halloween history. What the fuck? What?
I actually was like,
Let me defend some of this.
No!
Yeah, go for it. I was going to a little bit.
The only I can't defend it much, but I'll try.
There's only so much you can do. You can only shine shit so much.
The only thing that I thought, I mean, that they at least added to is there's a guy. She's like in this insane asylum, and the whole thing is like she went crazy because she killed the wrong person, and she's like gone crazy from guilt or whatever. So she's in this thing, and there's this dude who like gets out of his room, which also doesn't make sense because nobody gives a shit that this dude constantly gets out of his room. And this crazy guy, he's like obsessed with serial killers. So like he's like roaming the grounds, and he's just talking about like, oh, Ted Bundy killed the whatever, Charlie Manson killed what, blah blah blah. And so he just walks around. And I thought that when because at one point Michael Myers like goes to his cell or like you see him walking by. So I thought like the idea was like, oh, you know, maybe that is the guy, like when he starts grabbing his head or whatever, like, oh, maybe like he wasn't necessarily
really?
like, yeah, maybe I'm trying anything I can.
You're trying. That's fine.
But maybe that it was that dude. And then not only that, I'll say this since we're talking about it. After he actually kills Laurie Strode, he goes back to that guy's cell and specifically gives that guy like a butcher knife. So of course I'm thinking that it's not Michael Myers through the rest of this movie, so that when he dies in the end, I'm like, oh, they're just gonna play it off because it's this guy that he met in the insane asylum or whatever. Yeah. And that would have at least made some kind of sense because they show it to you. He gives him the knife, and the guy's like obsessed with serial killers, and he's crazy. And Michael Myers
doesn't make sense though with the rest of the movie.
Well, it does, because if that guy's obsessed with serial killers, then it wouldn't be too crazy to think that guy like wandered back to Michael Myers' house and is like living there because he's eating rats. So he's like, oh, he's like a guy. And then they're like, oh, we kill him, we catch him on fire, and like, of course, you take him to the morgue, and it's like, oh, this is Michael Myers. This is the patient that has been missing or whatever. But instead, it's just Michael Myers. So it's like, why did they do that?
The reason that they have Michael Myers go in there and give that man a knife is number one, they do not understand the character of Michael Myers in the least bit, and I will continue to talk about that.
He's a scheming Michael Myers in this movie.
Yeah. It also, Michael Myers doesn't just give people fucking presents. The reason he walked in there is because as he's in there giving the dude a knife, the dude then has the chance to info dump and explain the first 3 movies in 30 seconds to the audience. Exactly. He tells you exactly who Michael is.
And the nurse. The nurse. Like, it starts with the nurse saying what happened at the end of the last movie, and she's to the new nurse or whatever, and she's like, oh, well, he came back after 20 years, and then this is his sister, and and then you get this guy just to give like the fucking Ring announcement, the WCW intro info dump, giving the kill count and everything. Which by the way, he gets fucking wrong, and that's hilarious. So I mean, it's great. It's great in all the ways that makes it terrible. This movie in general, I don't know that I've ever seen a movie more desperate to verbally exposition everything so much. It's just constantly telling you what's on screen. You might as well have. It might as well be like the for blind people version that just literally is explaining to you what's on screen at any time. It's fucking nuts. Like, you have fucking Busta throughout this movie just throwing shit out at you, like telling you everything about his plan, just saying it to Tyra. He talks to himself just to expose things. He's like, oh, yeah, good job. Pat myself on the back. He does that in this movie after just exposing shit that he's... Oh, my God. It's so horrible.
He kills a couple security guards as well. Like, as he breaks into the insane asylum, he kills a couple security guards. And one of them, he like chops his head off and throws it in a dryer for some reason. But like the other security guard walks in there.
Yeah, in the span of like 10 seconds, literally, you hear the guy scream, and the other dude is at the vending machine and immediately walks into the next room, and he's searching around, and there's like a severed body, like with no head, and then there's a head in the dryer. So like Myers literally,
there's a head in the dryer.
Some dude's head
white
off.
Sheets,
throw it in the dryer.
White sheets, but no blood in the dryer. None.
I love that the security guard obviously walks past a body laying on the ground with no head, does not notice it,
with blood everywhere,
finds a head, and then steps backwards and trips over the body that he did not see was there. And then Michael Myers lowers himself from the ceiling with one arm.
He does that constantly. He's like fucking Donkey Kong in this movie. He's just constantly swinging for shit.
He legit, the one arm thing, I was like, when the fuck did he turn into a goddamn Spider-Man? He's just like,
what is this fucking American Ninja Warrior bullshit?
It's also like just this slow lower. It's like he has it's like he's got the biggest fucking arm. Like, what?
That actor is 100% on a lift for that scene, and he's just...
Oh, yeah.
It's just like the slowest lower from the ceiling with the one arm. It's so, but you're right. You know when they also show it? They show it from the previous movie when they're doing like a recap. Yeah. Like when they're like, oh, he killed a paramedic. He did the same thing. He lowered himself with one. Which I'm thinking now was actually not in the previous movie. They made it for this movie to recap the last movie to explain. So they literally did the same thing twice for this movie of Michael Myers just slowly lowering himself.
He does a lot of pull-ups, man. A lot of pull-ups.
I mean, let's talk about that. Fucking Michael Myers is basically Charles Bronson in this movie. He's scheming. He's got plans. It's like he wants to up his reputation. He even gives I assume I didn't take away anything you did from him giving that guy the knife. I was just like, okay, so this movie's trying to tell me that they're pinning Laurie's murder on this psychopath-obsessed psychopath. So, I mean, okay, I guess. Like, but the only reason for that character to exist in the first place is just to give us the Ring announcement. It's fucking ridiculous. So, I don't know. Yeah. And then Laurie's gone. Laurie's gone forever, and Jamie Lee Curtis gets to rest easy until Gordon Green comes along and pulls her out and makes her into fucking Sarah Connor.
Yeah. And then, so from that point, we kind of jump into a completely different movie, and we are introduced to all these dumbasses that want to be on a reality TV show in which they have to survive Halloween night in the Myers homestead with all these cameras hooked up, and it's
on a web series.
Airing on a website, yeah. These, oh god, oh my.
What an optimistic time! They were all talking about being famous for being on this fucking web series. Very optimistic time. We're living proof that that is not the future
you know?
We had in store.
This whole concept just reeks of like lumpy executives sitting in a boardroom going, you know, we really got to cash in on this whole reality TV internet streaming bullshit. We gotta wrap that into this Matthew Myers character guy.
Matthew Myers,
the
gym teacher.
Love it.
Why don't we throw that boy Bobby Jarvis in there?
Bobby Jarvis. He'll be the cop.
Oh, that reminds me. I don't remember where I saw this. It was just today, though. There was an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis recently where the interviewer was like, so do people still try and jump out with hockey masks on and try and scare you? And she gives him a death glare. It's the greatest. It's much better than this movie.
Yeah. That meme. That one meme. Yeah.
Dude, also, so they do this interview process, which the first time we meet Busta Rhymes, where they're like, tell people about yourself. And the girl, never comes up again. It was such a weird choice, but like, so we have this main chick and she's like reluctant to like, everybody's got like a shtick. She's like reluctant to like even go. Her friends kind of talk her into it. And she gets scared or something happens. She gets scared and she
something like
breaks a glass with her voice.
Yeah, she's
and they're like, so damn. Busta Rhymes like, damn, that bitch can sing or something like that. But like, it's nothing.
He's looking for the scream queen, is I guess what it's implying.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, but it also, I also thought that the last popping, I was like, oh, I wonder if that'll come up again because this is a dumb enough movie to where she can have superpowers. Sure.
Yeah, also, I thought at least it would do something, but it doesn't ever. Again,
here's some trivia just to add, just to reduce the weight of that internally light scene. The woman, Bianca, I'm going to mispronounce this, Kajilik, the woman who played the brown-headed protagonist.
Yeah,
she could not scream, and her screams were dubbed in post-production. Those aren't even her fucking screams, man. Like they even do the dumb process they're doing in the real movie. Like, if you're going to make this dumb fucking movie, you might as well have somebody who can fucking scream. She's not doing a whole lot else.
Yeah, and it's not like... no, I mean, it's just... Everybody's got this weird shtick. You got, like, the dude who's obsessed with food. He's, like, a chef.
Yeah.
And he's like...
Oh, how you eat. Yeah.
And then you got, like, the depressed... Or, like, the philosophical, depressed 90s chick who's all, like... Just spouting off bullshit.
I call him Shitty Jon Snow.
And then and then the musician Jon Snow. And then
Shitty Jon Snow coming in.
I love how the chef like blinds Michael Myers temporarily by throwing like seasoning in his eyes.
Me too. Also, like
this movie was by writers, I guarantee it. Eric Bischoff has a writing credit on this movie. I'm sure of it.
And also the whole premise, they're like, we're going to go walk around this house. And I was like, how long would it take 6 people to walk through like a 5-bedroom house? It's not like it's not like it's the Myers mansion. It's just in suburbia. It was just a regular family. Like,
now, to be fair,
the house gets a lot bigger.
There is this massive underground catacomb.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
System. What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Why is
that
there?
I wrote this note. I wrote the note here. So there was a fake Michael Myers torture dungeon, right? In the basement. So, and I wrote this note. So underneath the Myers fake dungeon is a second dungeon with obvious prop rats that are meant to be real, meant to be mistaken as props, and then immediately seen to be real, but they're very obviously still props. It is a good movie.
Also, it implies like he's been living under the house in the second dungeon, which is essentially just the sewer system, I guess. But he's like eating rat to survive. There's one rat that's literally eaten in half. It's like
somebody took a cartoon bite out of a rat.
Yeah, and then somebody touches the rat.
Yeah. Like, oh, it's just a prop. It's just a prop. And then the prop squeals, and she goes, oh, no, it's not a prop, but it's a prop. It is a prop.
Shit.
That's in the second dungeon.
Then,
how much money you got to be pulling in to have 2 torture dungeons
moves.
in your house? It moves. It's bitten in half.
That's Dangertainment, baby.
Like it's still alive.
Oh, can we get to Busta now? So much beast in this movie.
The hugest bite out of his rat. Like,
I want to. Wow. Juice has lost hinges today. We're gonna blame that on the antibiotics.
I think it's the most ridiculous thing that's movie.
Really? Because there's a kid. Oh my god. There's so many fucking notes. The first note on here is there's a skinny kid who acts as the harbinger of danger, the Camp Blood character. There's a skinny kid sniffing panties and telling ghost stories. Early cooter frontrunner. That's my note.
I forgot all about. He never comes back. Why does this movie do so many things that just don't fucking matter? Oh my god!
Have in the movie just to do it.
Dude, that
Busta literally has himself on the back in this movie. I put that in my notes. That's pretty fucking bold. That's Quentin Tarantino saying this might be my masterpiece at the end of Inglourious Basterds, but it's fucking Busta Rhymes in Halloween Resurrection.
I think the rat was the turning point for me. I thought, like, this is so ridiculous that I'm just going to enjoy myself for the rest of this. Like, clearly there's no value of any kind in this movie. So, like, let me just enjoy, like, what happens for the rest. And so for the second half of the movie, like, once I got into that mode, there's a dude who says, like, what is the... So the chef ends up fighting Michael Myers, which was really funny. And he throws like paprika in his eye and it like blinds him. And he's got like his knife and he says something like, what he says, you like sushi motherfucker or something. And I just like, at that point I had let go and I was just kind of like enjoying myself. Like I thought that shit was pretty funny and kind of entertaining, not in a real way, but just in a way of where like, once you just stop caring, it's pretty funny.
People like to trash talk Michael Myers and something. First of all, let's start with, like, this is not to this point, but Laurie at the beginning goes out like a fucking chump, and, like, Michael Myers is totally in control. But somehow Busta Rhymes gets the better of him, like, 7 times in this movie. This is clearly, like, Busta Rhymes clearly wrote this as a fan fiction and then had it made. That's clearly what happened.
Busta Rhymes kicks that bitch out a window.
Dude. I thought he would get one good shot on him. So I wrote down, did Busta Rhymes just roundhouse kick Michael Myers in the face? And then he kicked him out a window. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's just par for the course in this.
So the first time Michael Myers and Busta Rhymes meet, like Busta Rhymes is dressed up as Michael Myers, like stalking through the house. He's gonna try and scare the kids, And then he sees Michael Myers and he thinks it's like his henchman who's also dressed up as Michael. He's like, "Damn it! I told you, I'm gonna be Michael Myers." And he's like poking the actual Michael Myers in the forehead.
He shakes
and then Michael Myers just walks away. What the fuck, man? Like that doesn't make any sense. He's pure fucking evil.
Jockeying for position in this movie. It's fucking nuts. He is pure evil. That's established multiple times.
And then
he's just like a shitty boss, Michael Myers. I kind of thought that was funny, though. I got to be honest. I kind of laughed when Busta Rhymes was like, "Man, get their ass out of here," or whatever. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It totally fucking sucks. But I did laugh because fucking shitty boss Michael Myers is kind of a funny concept.
Towards the end of the movie, they like have, they're fighting and he gets kicked out the window and they go into like the garage where they have all their electrical shit and like their computers and cameras and all that shit. And he actually shocks Michael Myers in the dick. Like with
he does.
Hey,
I forgot about that.
Electrocutes Mike in the dick.
And Busta Rhymes never dies. He never dies in this movie.
Oh,
he just beats the shit out of Michael Myers and doesn't die. This movie's terrible. It's terrible.
Here's a hot take from your boy.
Mr. Hotcakes.
Yeah, Mr. Hot Takes, Mr. Hotcakes here. Busta Rhymes is the best actor in this movie, and my favorite part. And my favorite part of this movie. Busta Rhymes makes this movie somewhat entertaining and enjoyable, and is the best actor in this movie. God, and that's not saying a lot because who else?
Himself.
Well,
no.
Sure.
This isn't acting. This is saying words in front of a camera and smiling at the right time. Like you can say those other actors are bad actors, and I certainly will agree with you, but I will not agree that Busta Rhymes is better in any fashion.
Was that the Karate Kid that was in this movie?
What? No.
The guy who hits on the blonde chick?
Ralph Macchio?
Yeah.
No. Ralph Macchio was much older than that by this time. No, by that kid, though, like he was another cooter contender. I wrote down for him, dude caressing blonde woman's shoulder for some reason is another cooter, and the oversized Gap sweater doesn't help.
Dude, it was the 90s. Everything was oversized.
Gap is the 90s. I know,
dude,
but
Jinko jeans?
That man's a living Jinko Jean, in my opinion.
This was 2002, so it's early.
Oh, really?
2000.
Well... Yeah, still.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit was still popular.
Still building off Scream. Sure. Like this is like post Scream, and this is where people are supposed to be like wised up to the horror movie tropes and all this stuff. But this movie somehow still does not fucking get it at all. Certainly not for this franchise, but not even for fucking regular fucking slasher. It just fucking terrible.
Busta Rhymes later describes Michael Myers as he says Michael Myers is a killer shark in baggy ass overalls.
Yep. That's his big... Michael Myers gets the Loomis line at the end of this fucking movie. Like, he gets to... That's his way of saying he's pure evil. But it's like, I'm going to do it like Busta does it. And then we just get his fucking long monologue where he's talking about baggy goddamn overalls. What the fuck is intimidating about that?
You can just poke a shark in the face and then it'll swim away. It'll just swim away, apparently.
You know what?
Also,
we also didn't even get any really cool kills in this movie.
That is true.
Which is a bummer.
All of them. Yeah.
Tyra Banks gets killed off screen. We don't even see her get killed.
Yeah,
I think most people get killed off screen. Like, we didn't see Karate Kid die. Sure, did we? Oh, we did. No, he reached like through the window. Never mind. We did. Or the mirror or whatever. That's true. Never mind.
So
he cuts one of the girls' heads off.
Didn't even talk about
which we see.
Yeah. At the top of the stairs. He crushes a dude's head. He crushes that one dude's head. Another dude gets stabbed in the throat with a camera, like tripod. Yeah.
That's probably the best one.
That's actually a reference to Peeping Toms. So even
actually, you know what? The chef one was pretty cool. He gets hung up. It's like a throwback to the first one where he gets hung up on the door.
Yeah, with multiple.
I don't approve. Like, if you're gonna do that as a reference to call back to the original, you damn sure better have some original kills along with it, in my opinion.
Wow.
They do not.
He does get roundhouse kicked out a window, so.
Yeah, he does.
And also, Michael is not intimidating in this movie. His mask
All
Michael
because
Myers is
Busta
masked.
Rhymes watches kung fu movies in his spare time. That's
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 right.
how.
That's how he manages to kill Michael Myers practically. He fucking like if you look at Michael Myers' fucking like mask in this, he's got like Doc Brown hair. It's fucking insane. And it's like what?
The eyebrows are like
His eyes. Well,
thick
oh,
stencils. And there are certain shots in this movie where you can see Michael Myers' eyeball.
Eyes.
You're not
all of them,
see
like
them.
so clearly. You can
You're
see
not
the
supposed to
blackout
see them.
around his eyelids.
Who
You
the
can see
fuck
the
made
blackout
this
around his
movie?
eyelids. It's fucking nuts. It's terrible, man. And
God.
we didn't even talk about this is a fun aspect. This is like we're gonna tap into youth culture. What do kids like? They like the internet. Let's talk about fucking cyber whipped kids, and like talk about fucking internet relationships. So you've got this dumbass bullshit where some Disney Channel kid is cyber dating or whatever they call it, the main chick, and is sending her text messages that show up in the form of like all caps The Matrix font on her phone. And then when he needs to, I wrote this down. Designer brain was on this shit. It fired. And then when he's like, I wrote using all caps Matrix font for text messages is cute. Also, there's an entirely new typeface in bold for emphasis when he writes "go now." He has an entirely different fucking typeface. Like, oh my god, that just rubs my asshole raw.
Damn, that's what did it.
Damn.
Like, now you're hitting me where I live a little bit.
Dude,
Busta Rhymes whoops
there were some yabos.
Michael Myers' ass in this movie. This is like if fucking Wesley Willis made a movie about Busta Rhymes and Michael Myers.
I whoop Mike Myers' ass.
He was being such a jagoff.
Yeah, see, and
Mike Myers will make you fat. Sorry.
In the same vein, I can kind of laugh at this movie and enjoy it in a terrible kind of way.
Oh yeah, you have to. What else are you gonna do? We had to all watch this whole thing. So as much as we succeeded at making Rob like upset, we kind of fucked ourselves on it too.
Man.
Juice, you were mentioning there were some yabos in this movie. So two of these kids go down to the basement to bang it out because I guess
in a torture chamber, nothing hotter.
And the wall caves in, and there's just like all these fake corpses that fall on top of them. That shit is ridiculous.
And it says the guy picks up the arm and it says like made in China or something, made in Thailand.
Made in Taiwan, I think he said.
Made in South Korea by
Whoa.
Yeah.
By
using human corpse.
18
I wrote down this
years
is the
ago.
last note that I took. The last note I wrote was Busta Rhymes just electrocuted Michael Myers' dick, and I cannot believe this isn't a fan fiction written by Busta Rhymes. That's so true. I'm so
Mike,
wise.
Happy fucking Halloween. All right, Busta.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh, and then there's at the end of this movie, like all the tension is on the main girl and Busta, because Busta's fighting it out, just duking it out like he's a fucking Mortal Kombat character all of a sudden, and then the girl is like trying to escape the high pitched screaming girl supposedly, and she falls down through like a table in like the recording hub or whatever of the building, where Tyra Banks is dead, and a small amount of like recording equipment lands on her leg and somehow prevents her from running for like a full minute. Like,
it's like
that
a printer fell on her calf or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh no, it's so heavy technology. Like, I don't understand how that like flew in any way. Like,
Y'all don't remember how heavy those 90s printers were.
Dude, just put them on. If it wasn't a printer, it was like a mixing board, but it was like 12 by 12 or some shit and some cables. Like, if you have that, you have a giant 90s monitor you can throw on her. At least that's heavy.
Dude,
yeah, I don't know.
This movie isn't meant to make sense.
It doesn't.
I wrote down.
Mike Myers gets like tangled up in like electrical cables, and just him being tangled in them gets him electrocuted. Like, they're not even. It doesn't make any fucking sense. He's just kind of tangled up.
I wrote down, did Busta Rhymes just flying roundhouse kick Michael Myers in the face? Was that stipulated in his contract?
Probably.
And I believe you.
Also, yeah, like
Yes.
so they also say like the whole thing is like Busta Rhymes has like set this whole thing up kind of where he's like put fake props throughout the Myers house. But if he made that fake dungeon, the fake dungeon connects to the real dungeon, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
fake.
How you get-
So
Yeah.
How you getting in that real dungeon?
and also, how would Busta Rhymes make a fake dungeon? It's like a tunnel. It's like you would
Yeah,
have to
In a
like
decrepit
drill.
old house.
Yeah, you would have to like I don't know. And it's got this like crazy key that unlocks it, and like the guy finds the key. That was so weird. Like I don't.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was like,
I forgot
he
about
was
that.
like, oh, I got an idea, and I was like, what? The key? I don't even remember when they saw the key. I don't know. There's just
It
a
was
ton
hanging
of shit
off
that
of that
doesn't make any
shitty like tethered like little
sense. Oh, like
high chair.
Yeah, high chair. Yeah.
High chair.
God.
And he, like
Which was
wait,
a
so
jump
wait, was
scare,
that
by
going
the
into
way.
the real dungeon or the fake dungeon? Yeah.
It
The high
connects.
chair?
Well,
I
it connects to the fake dungeon where the wall collapses.
Okay.
But then they walk through where the wall collapses, and that goes to the real dungeon,
So
which
they
is
just
essentially just
stored
a
fake
sewer.
corpses in a real dungeon, which they could have just used as a dungeon.
Yeah.
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 Sweet shit.
Yeah.
Sweet
There's a
shit.
bunch of really dumb jump scares in here.
Oh,
All these people are getting killed on camera because there are cameras throughout the entire house. But as they're getting killed, conveniently, nobody is watching any of the fucking cameras. Nobody sees
yeah.
anybody get fucking murdered.
That's
Except for
true. It's like a
Decker.
web series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
the
that's
kid-
it.
Decker
He does
watching-
call the police, and he's
The kid-
like,
Yeah, the kid eventually starts to catch on. He's like, "Oh, this shit's real. This is really happening. That's really
Yeah.
and
yeah,
he's like,
because they watch
helping
the
them.
girl die down in the
Yeah.
dungeon, and he's like, oh, we just watched somebody die, and they're like, oh, you're so gullible, ha 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 ha.
Oh,
Which, I
kids
mean-
in their house.
Yeah.
That's whatever. I don't give a shit about that. But that character, like, it's like they were just driven to tell you everything that was happening, all the way down to that being like the primary gimmick, that she was getting text messages telling her where Michael Myers was. There is no mystery to this fucking movie at all. There's nothing in the shadows. And that fucking character and like all the people watching it or whatever, the dude dressed as fucking Sam Jackson for some reason, like, please don't let me watch that shit ever again.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah, they're at a
God.
Halloween party.
Yeah.
That was a weird aspect. Well, this movie's not good.
It's bad. You know what they say? Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And then at the end, again, I'm going to bring it up. So he gets electrocuted, and they take him to the morgue, and they're like, oh, it's Michael Myers. And like she's like taking his mask off her son, and the like eye opens, and it's like, oh, he's not dead. And I was like, I thought that was just going to be the crazy dude from the beginning. Like, but it's not. It was just.
The mask
Look,
is
they've done
melted
that-
to his face at that point, which was actually kind of cool. Because how many times has Michael Myers been burned?
Yeah,
Never
that's
his
true.
face.
That's
At
true.
least 3 I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind
I just
of
don't
the
know this
movie.
fucking movie. Yeah.
We kind of hit everything. I don't know. Is there anything that you guys wanted to mention that we didn't?
Mention Panty Sniffer. There's just so many goddamn cooters in this
Mention
movie.
Panty.
I know we're gonna get to it, but there's so many goddamn cooters.
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah.
it's rife with them.
Oh, I do want to mention. Did you guys notice that Busta Rhymes had one sideburn? It was very thin, but
What?
it was only
No.
on one side of his face.
I did
It
not
went all
notice
the way
that.
down his chin. It's really thin, but there's just one. I was like, why?
No.
That had to
That's
have
just
been,
the
like,
Busta
his
style,
choice.
dude.
Maybe it is, and I just didn't know. Maybe that was his thing.
I
One
don't
sideburn.
know. I really
What?
don't know.
Weird,
Huh.
weird
Nope.
choice.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, you gotta watch it again, I guess.
I
You're
guess.
welcome.
I'll
You're
do
welcome.
it.
I gotta watch. Let's watch the whole thing right now.
Right now. All right now.
Dude,
So-
that rat, that's some funny shit, man.
All of this fucking movie's so terrible.
Oh man.
I just
All
don't
right,
know what else
let's-
to say about it.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
rate
Yeah, I
it.
don't- yeah. Let's go and do it. So, out of 5, Randy, why don't you do us the honors and kick us off? How do you feel about Halloween Resurrection?
Real good. Real good. I'm gonna give this a solid 1 star. It gets 1 from me because it, I think, would in the right context be entertaining to watch, and that context is a bunch of horror nerds drinking and making fun of it ruthlessly with abandon. I didn't get that this go around exactly, but I certainly did think that that is a possibility. Otherwise, though, I don't know if there's any redeeming value to this fucking thing. It pretty much is exactly what its reputation said it would be in my eyes. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, way to make one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen, guys. Good job. Solid 1.
Star. Solid 1 star from Randy there. Juice, out of 5, how you feel?
Shit. I think I will give it. I think it's gonna end at a 1.5 because I was gonna give it a 1 star too, and then I gotta give it half star for the Yabos. We gotta be fair here.
Man's got to have a code.
Man's got a code. Once I let go, I had some fun with this movie. At the Rat, I was just like, I'm letting go. I'm just giving myself, I'm just, all expectations or any kind of quality is out the window. And I really thought it was fun. Like, I liked the chef fight. Anytime somebody was going to fight Michael Myers, I found it like really funny and hilarious. So the dude throwing like paprika in his eye, like that shit's like funny. And it's like bold. It's almost like Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, like funny. It's like bold. It's like, you bold sons of bitches. It's like, that's
Oh
not
God.
good.
A hell of a comparison.
Well, it's just like the sheer bold audacity of it. Like, let me throw paprika in Michael Myers' eye, and that's gonna stop him for a moment. It's like, and then say something about sushi. Like, that shit was just like entertaining me. And Busta Rhymes fucking roundhouse kicking him out a window. Like, that shit is so dumb and funny. And this like fucking rat.
Wow. There's really some Novocaine in that one
Dude.
scene, huh?
That rat, it's so. When it moved, I lost my shit.
It all comes back to the rat.
It's like half of a rat. It's like so dead. I don't know why that shit gets me, but it's so dumb.
It's a little thing.
So obviously, I get some laughs out of this movie. Just thinking about that rat is like cracking me up. So it's just stupid, like audacity, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of tickles me a little bit. So Tyra Banks, she was in this movie, but like didn't really do anything. She dies
Not
off
at all,
screen.
really.
So like, yeah, she was bad, but like like they didn't give her a lot of screen time. And I was kind of generally like, I was kind of entertained by Buster in some aspects.
Buster.
Oh, Buster.
Buster Himes. I'm gonna name my kid Buster Himes. Hold on there, Buster.
Now we're getting some good laughs out of this. That's good.
Buster.
Because this
What else can
movie,
you do?
it's pretty bad. Yeah, that's the thing. You just gotta let it wash over you and just enjoy the ride. So I'll end it at a 1.5.
Generous. God.
Well, the
Generous?
Yabos, the Yabos really take it up a notch, you know.
I can't. No, not really.
They
This
really.
I mean, in the scoring, not the
Yeah.
movie. So I'm not saying the
Really brings this
Yabos.
movie into the upper tier, it's the upper crust
But-
movie now.
I think
When you're
this
sitting
is-
at a 1 star, a half star makes a big difference. So
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
It's true. That's
I think
150%.
This is the worst movie in the Halloween franchise, including the Rob Zombie movies. I think I actually prefer the Rob Zombie
Mhm.
movies to this.
yeah, sure.
At least Rob Zombie respected aspects of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
I don't
not
know
all
about
of
that
it.
second one though, dude. I could never finish that second one. I finished this movie. I never finished the second.
Actually, yeah.
It's I mean they're all pretty problematic, but this movie just like fucks everything up. It just like shits all over H2O. It shits all over Laurie Strode like immediately. And then you get all these characters that come in, and then they just shit all over Michael Myers. Like Michael Myers he's not scary. He's just not scary. And that mask looks like a parody of the original mask. It looks like a mask that they would have made to use in like Scary Movie fucking 6
It's like
to make.
It's like if they made It's like if they made a new Star Wars movie where they had fucking, I don't know, Darth Sidious or one of those motherfuckers like in a one-on-one battle with Jar Jar Binks as voiced by Chance the Rapper or some shit. It's fucking absurd. It's absurd.
It looks terrible. Nothing in this movie really matters at all, and it just shits on anything that ever did matter in any of the Halloween movies that came before it. And like, I just don't understand, if you're gonna make a movie like this, why in the fuck would you continue? Why does it have to be a sequel to the first 2 movies in H2O? It's kind of trying to do its own thing, and it doesn't really fit, and it doesn't really make sense. And like I said, it just feels like this committee of people sitting in a boardroom. They're like, oh, these youngsters, they're Palm Pilots and they're cybering. Let's make a Halloween movie that involves all that
Really?
horseshit. The kids
See,
love that.
I mean, I see that point, but to me, there's too much fucking Busta Rhymes fingerprints on this for me to think that he wasn't the creative driving force in this thing, and he was the one saying, well, kids like the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get that. I could be wrong. I could be, but
Dangertainment.
I'm picking up on Dangertainment. And I'm gonna have one sideburn, motherfucker. The kids call me Buster.
That's a stipulation.
My boy Buster.
Buster.
My boy Buster.
Buster Rhymes is screen shattering as Buster Rhymes.
The kids really love this Buster Rhymes, right? We gotta get him in on this Halloween with Matthew.
Halloween. Damn.
Halloween.
Halloween. Uh-huh.
Mike Myers will make you fat. So yeah, this movie's terrible. I'm gonna give it a half star just because there are some funny moments for sure. Buster Rhymes kick in, Mike Myers.
I legit thought you were gonna say because there are some yabos.
No.
No. I thought
Some
because
men
there
don't
are
have
some.
There are some pretty funny like one-liners from Buster Rhymes.
Yeah,
From Buster, Mr. Buster.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. That's really it. This movie is really terrible. It's just a steaming pile of shit. So success. Movies that Bob would hate. They worked.
Hey, you guys can pick them.
Get
Let
a
me tell
0
you.
star. I wonder if we can get a 0 star for my poll pick of
I
movies.
considered it. I was really considering it, but there are some funny shit, some funny lines, and I think they're intentional.
I toyed with a 0.5. The one for making me laugh at least a couple times, even on my own.
Yeah. Dangertainment. So that's going to put our aggregate at a 1 even. So that sounds fair. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users have to say about Halloween
Critical
Resurrection.
darling.
Take it away, Juice.
All right, let's hop into the old Rotten Tomatoes segment. We'll see if old Halloween Resurrection is certified fresh. There are 63, damn it, so close. 63 critics that rated this movie. Let's go around the table, see what you guys see what you guys think about this. 63, Bob, take it away. What do you think the critics rated Halloween Resurrection?
Oh, it's got to be so low. It has to be.
You're so confident, huh?
Man, I'll go with a 20%.
Okay, 20%. Randy, what do you think? 63 people.
I mean, yeah, if it's not low, I just completely lose faith in the idea of critics, paid critics. I'll go a little higher, 35.
35. Oh, Randy, you have too much faith in this film. It is certainly not certified fresh. It is, if there was anything, it's certified rotten. 11% is the total we're going to end with on Halloween Resurrection. 11%, which is even lower than the Straight Chilling Crew rated it. The critic consensus is the only thing this tired slasher flick may resurrect is nostalgia for when the genre was still fresh and scary.
No. No.
That's
There's
way
too many
generous.
cameras on people's ears to resurrect nostalgia.
Well, it says
I thought
the only thing is nostalgia.
my only thing about
okay.
I mean, let's be fair.
my only reasoning for going even a little higher was that, like, I'm thinking of critics of horror movie critics at the time, like real critics, having to review this movie after Scream came out and shit, and being like, well, this is more along the lines of what I would have expected, so it's bullshit. But some people would probably be like, well, it's what you asked for. Like, it's what you get when you watch dumb horror. And that's, I mean, I just kind of assumed that would be one of the talking points.
So I found a positive from a critic, a dude named Felix Vasquez Jr. from Cinema Crazed, reviewed this movie on October 31st, 2013. He rated it positive. He has this to say: it's a ridiculous, absurd slasher film with a concept that is so bad that it's undoubtedly good and makes for some wicked entertainment. That dude had to be drunk on a Halloween watching Halloween Resurrection.
Just
like, he had
undoubtedly good.
Yeah.
It's so bad it's undoubtedly good. This man has no doubt that this is good.
That's the only positive I can see. There might be like one more, but it's
maybe the rat got him. Maybe he really liked the rat scene.
Dude, somebody did.
Left him without.
He scared him.
Dude,
oh man, those rats are spooky.
That rat, that was hilarious. It was still alive. Dude, that shit is dumb as fuck.
It moved like somebody was like pushing it with a rod from underneath too. It was like
it did, and it made a noise like.
Yeah.
My favorite jump scare in that movie was definitely when the high chair was revealed, because they shot it as if it jumped out at them. It's just sitting in a closet. It's inanimate. It's a fucking high chair. They're like, oh God.
Oh my God. All right, let's get into the audience score. Oozer rating 90,000. So let's let Randy go first. Randy, what do you think the Oozers think about Halloween?
I don't even know who I am anymore after talking about this movie. This fucking movie. Let's just say, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of contrarians in this shit. Like, enough to where it's not going to be fully negative. I'm going 25.
25. All right, Rob, 25. You going higher or lower than Randy?
I'm going to go 69 minus 40. So I'll take 29.
What's up with you and the math?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Randy 25, Bob 29. Is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, 69 minus 40.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Randy's going to take it. Almost hit it on the mark. It is a whopping 26% from the Oozers. This movie, no one likes it. Well, some people like this movie, I guess.
25% of users, 26%.
Undoubtedly.
It doesn't even
undoubtedly good.
It doesn't even give me a like average or whatever, but God, there's like some screenshots of the movie, and like, God, that mask looks really bad.
It's so bad.
It's really bad.
It looks like he has a fucking spiky fro. It's insane. Why? Why?
It looks like, well, like when Busta Rhymes is walking around in his fake Michael Myers, it looks like the same. So it looks like the fake, like the one that like Busta. Like,
it's not even a little dirtier.
Yeah, it's like the same as the one Busta Rhymes has. So, old Buster, he's got the same style.
He looks like Odesu. This hair is like this fucking.
Dude, it's the new thing. It's the new trend, you know?
Yeah.
You can see his eyes in most of the movie and the blackout around his eyes like he's fucking Batman 1989.
So, yeah, that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. We going into trivia?
Sure, we can do that.
You got it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a few more things. I can go a few.
Let me drop it. Take it away, Randy.
So some of this might be well-known stuff, but I'm just going to roll through a few things. First of all, Rick Rosenthal directed this. Also, directed Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. So big downgrade for Rick on this one.
Wow.
Kind of. I never was the biggest Halloween 2 fan. Not at least not compared to what the general consensus is about that movie, but it's a damn sight better than this could ever hope to have been.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Damn.
speaking of people who hate this movie, and I'm gonna pronounce this name as it's spelled. John Carpenter has stated this movie has made him cringe. Thank you, John Carpenter. Tending to the carp
Who the fuck
for
that
the
is?
sins of mankind.
Carpenter.
Jesus.
This movie makes
John
me
Carpenter didn't like it. Who gives a fuck what he thinks? Jamie Lee Curtis appears on the movie cover with short hair, despite having long hair in this film. If you look at it more closely, one can easily tell that it's the same picture that was used on the poster of the previous film, Halloween H2O. So yeah, they spared no expense for Jamie.
Jamie
she
was
was
She
under
just
did
like,
contract.
have
"Nah, I don't
blonde
have time.
hair.
I don't have
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't want to do
Jamie, can
another
you
photo
separate
shoot.
a few poster photos? No. I'm going to take a shit instead. I'll do anything else.
They just
Um,
used the same picture. Damn, this shit's lazy as fuck. Dude, that rat though. Oh my god. Just
The
no
rat!
scene.
We're gonna have to give you a few seconds to collect yourself about this rat.
Oh my
Here we go.
god.
Did you guys notice that in Laurie's room there was a picture of Josh Hartnett, and it wasn't a Tiger Beat picture. It was because he was in Halloween H2O, as well as John, her son.
No.
There's our like sort of crinkled up picture of him. I noticed it actually, like on her wall. It's the only reference to that movie besides them saying, "Well, this happened" outright.
Mhm.
Like just telling you that this other movie happened. Halloween Resurrection concludes with the potential for another sequel to continue the story. Josh Hartnett was originally planned to reprise his role as John Tate and seek revenge for his mother's death. So really dodged another bullet in the form of a Rob Zombie version. Somehow, that's better. Let's see. I mentioned this earlier. At the beginning of this movie, Harold, the psychopath, begins to recount the victims of the first two films and says 3 teenagers were killed along with 3 nurses and a paramedic. This is completely wrong. 4 teenagers were killed: Annie, Bob, Linda, and Alice. And 4 nurses, a paramedic, a security guard, a doctor, and the officer with Dr. Loomis, as well as a truck driver who was found by Dr. Loomis, which is where Michael got his jumpsuit attire. So, thank you, Harold. Get your savant shit elsewhere, because you ain't getting it right, buddy. You ain't doing it.
Damn, how could they just not even take the time?
Just watch it. Just have watched it
How
before you make a
could-
sequel.
Even as a direct, even if you didn't want to do that, it seems like it'd be so easy to just ask somebody,
Yeah.
like, any,
So,
like, hey, how
Corey,
many people died in
killed-
this movie?
Yeah. Put that shit out on the fucking wire. You're talking about the internet all day. Just go on fucking Yahoo
Even if-
chat or some
You
shit.
probably
Even
could
if
have
you
asked Jeeves, in
Yeah,
2000.
even if you didn't want to, like, include, like, oh, the truck driver and stuff, like, at least get the teen count, right? Like, don't say 3
Yes,
teens when it was
they're
4.
the principal people. Anyway, whew, God, that's so egregious. Burns my ass right
Especially
off.
since they take the time to tell you, like, it's like, we don't care to know, like,
It's
at
like,
least tell
it's-
me the
and
right
it's so
info.
stupid in the first place. They don't need that character, period. Just have him walk in. Walk in and do his thing with Laurie. Shitty though it may be, you don't need this character announcing him. Like, it's fucking crazy. Anyway,
Dude, I wish
Several-
he could enter every scene coming from the ceiling.
and now the Hulk from Haddonfield,
That would've made it
the killer
I
of
hope-
4 teenagers,
Dude, I
paramedics,
got-
6 security.
If they want to make me happy, I know they're listening. But in Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends, we need to have at least one descent from the ceiling with one arm. And these, dude, Dude, that would make my day if they included that shit. I'll praise those movies.
Pull up, drop. Sure, yeah, why not?
I'll drop my tirade on the new Halloween series if they give it to me. Give me the one slow descent on the ceiling, please.
Putting that movie in a no-win box now. So
yeah, it's already lost.
This one's actually really interesting. Several endings were written during the production, and the cast was never sure how the film was actually going to end. 4 different endings were filmed, and the director wanted the studio to ship a different ending to each theater, a technique used before in the theatrical release of Clue. However, the studio disagreed, and the endings now appear on the DVD and the internet. So, it couldn't have made this movie worse. At least it would have had ties to a better movie. At least, I don't know. It wouldn't have been better. But I'm kind of curious what the other endings were. I'm sure they're just as dumb.
I watched it, and I literally forgot. I know Busta Rhymes actually dies in one, but they're not
really
very memorable. Yeah, they're just...
Well, I was thinking today before we recorded this, I was like, how did that movie end? I don't remember how the movie actually fucking ended. It's that
just
low
with
impact.
Michael Myers like eye opening.
Fire, and he opened. Yeah, I figured it out later. I was like, wait, there was a morgue. And then I figured it out. But yeah, this movie's memorable only in its most heinous sins. The original executives of Miramax wanted to continue the series by creating a whole new story which didn't have anything to do with Michael Myers after the last film, in a similar manner to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. However, some poll results conducted throughout fan websites proved to the producers that fans wanted Michael Myers to return again. This is
it didn't work the first time. Why would it work now? Doesn't make any sense.
They didn't like it.
You don't have to do any research. Oh my god.
Dude, maybe Halloween Kills will be like a remake of Halloween 3. That would be dope.
I would lose my mind.
That would also, I would be pleased with that as well. There's 2 things you can do to make me happy, Danny McBride. I know you're listening.
Danny McBride.
He's even attached to these ones?
I actually don't
co-writer. Yeah.
See?
He's still attached? Okay.
All right, Daniel.
Well, can't wait for the Bon Me conversation that makes Justin shit his pants in anger. Righteous anger. This time we're going to talk about quinoa. Like that. You like the conversation? Buster Rhymes is going to show up and talk about quinoa.
Here's what we need to make the next movie good. We need a rat that's bitten in half to move.
But still alive.
And we need a Halloween 3 remake, and we need Michael Myers slowly descending.
So you both want it to be Michael Myers descending like in every other Halloween movie, and no Michael Myers at the same time.
That's the winning formula.
Yeah,
you gotta have it and not have it.
That's like hitting the side of a barn. How are they going to miss? They couldn't possibly.
What if they have a rat meat banh mi sandwich? Would that be allowable?
Probably.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be entertaining.
What if they have blood kombucha? All right. So this is our last piece of trivia, and it's just kind of interest to anyone who does like the Halloween 4, 5, and 6 timeline. Producers considered Danielle Harris, who played Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5, for a role in Halloween Resurrection, and she wound up in Halloween Rob Zombie remake, which I liked. I always liked her entries into the series pretty well. They're not like the greatest movies of all time for me, but I did enjoy them a lot as a kid. Certainly more than the fucking Rob Zombie movie, but I was always happy that he put her in there and she got to do her thing a little bit more with Halloween. I like Danielle Harris's shit.
All right.
So that's it, really. Like, there's some other stuff, but not. We kind of covered all the people that hate this movie and shit. So we're good.
Yeah. All right. I think we should probably go hunting real quick.
Let's hunt them.
Hunt them down. Talking about Hooters of the week.
Ooh.
What do you? I don't know. Do you guys have any front runners? Any Cooter front runners?
Randy likes the pants sniffer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Once Jon Snow started like speaking a lot, that was pretty much it for him, because he's doing this like weird like moody teen thing, and it's the dress and the outfit and everything, and then he's just trying to bang everybody.
Yeah.
And like, what it is he
He's
said
a
to that
music
redheaded woman who
major,
desperately
Bob.
wanted.
What a
He
loser.
said something like, "Oh, I like your legs. When do they open?" And it's like, oh my
Yeah, he did say
god,
that.
how many fucking bars did you
What
have to go to
time?
hear some
What
dickhead say
what
that?
time do they open? Yeah.
Time do they open? Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, where's the joke book in this guy's back pocket? This is bullshit. So I mean, I just like that bullshit just rubbed me raw a little bit. And then there's Gap Sweater who is just caressing people, and then
Yeah, the
there was
Karate Kid.
the only like dudes I guess in this movie that are like halfway decent or like at least not cooters in the traditional sense are the chef guy who's just obsessed with food, and then I guess Freddy, aka Buster Rhymes. Yeah, I don't know.
Old
And like,
Buster.
I'm sure there's some points to be made about that because he's fucking insane in this
And I
movie.
guess like the cyber guy, except
don't-
for the fact that he's lying to a woman.
Oh yeah,
He's catfishing a woman.
I forgot. I always forget about that guy because he's so fucking. He never interacts in person with anybody in the movie. I
They
thought
never,
for sure
you know
he was
what?
gonna,
They never
like,
even
run up to the
resolve that.
house.
Like they
No.
never even like, oh, I'm the one who saved you, or like they meet or anything. He's just catfishing a woman,
Yeah,
and he's the savior.
yeah.
Mm.
That's how
Well,
the internet works. That's called cyber dating, bro.
dude,
Get
huh.
on it.
What a weird
Right.
movie this is.
How you surf the web.
Yeah, I'd go Jon Snow. Jon Snow, let's see, he's manipulative. He's a sexual
Lots to be
deviant.
famous. Mhm.
And his attire's got a little cooter to it, I would say. Not
He's
a
tryhard,
lot,
at
but
least.
yeah. He's got like real greasy hair, doesn't he? He's got like a little greasy perm kind of thing going, doesn't he?
Mm.
He's got like a little like Hyde from '70s show hair going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the smug arrogance a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he hits enough.
He's the one that gives a little monologue about how like he's a force of evil or all this shit, and it just comes off so dumb.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my god. Yeah, this dude's the cooter. I like him as the cooter. But
Yeah,
there were some solid. Yeah, what's up with that dude just coming in and sniffing panties? That was weird. Like even just it makes me like question the filmmaker. Like what is
They needed somebody to walk in for like 12 seconds and talk about why Michael Myers is scary.
That dude looked like a McFoyle.
They made him some panties, of course. They were just hanging there, by the way. Who hangs up their panties through the door?
You gotta let them air dry. You gotta air them out, man.
I guess so.
By your front
if
door.
anybody can tell me about all of the panties you have stored right by your front door, just let me know if that's a thing that people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I keep mine. So yeah, sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement. Yeah. Jon Snow character. Let's jump into
Jon Snow character. These people don't even have names. I legit can't tell you anybody's name. Decker, whatever.
They don't need him.
Oh yeah, there's Decker because it reminds me of fucking Decker, the Tim Heidecker show. And then there's fucking Freddy because Buster Rhymes is like, you know what slasher movies need? Guys named Freddy. I'll be Freddy.
Oh really?
I'll be a reference.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
I'm positive that was the thought process. 100%.
Yeah. Let's do some horror news. So there's a little bit of an update as far as the Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends movies that are coming up. So Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the original, has confirmed to be coming back to portray Michael Myers again in these movies. So he's sort of like teaming up with James Jude Courtney. So like he only plays Michael Myers in certain scenes, and I think the more physical scenes, they have a stunt guy, James Jude Courtney, who does the more physical stuff. Because at this point, Nick Castle's got to be getting up there in age, man. You don't want him to like blow a hip out.
I would be surprised if they didn't use him as long as they could, though, because I mean, they're all about honing in on the original as its inspiration. They don't miss a beat on that kind of thing. And
there's also a rumor going around that perhaps Tommy Doyle is going to be returning in Halloween Kills.
I would.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd, please.
Yeah, it's
They
that would
worked
be
Paul Rudd back into this. I would be blown away by that.
That'd be pretty incredible. So the rumor that is going around, apparently Rudd was offered this role, but he had to turn it down because he's currently filming the new Ghostbusters movie. Which who knows if this is true? It's unconfirmed, but I mean that would be a lame reason for him to not be able to be in this new Halloween movie. But
yeah, that's excellent.
I would much rather him be in this movie than
me
Ghostbusters
too.
reboot. By
Me
far.
too. So that could be interesting should that occur. I think that'd be a decent route. I mean, whatever. I'm down. We'll see. Did you guys get a chance to watch those trailers I sent you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, cool. So we mentioned before Fred Durst has a movie coming out. It's called The Fanatic. It was
Somehow we keep talking about this.
Yeah. It was originally titled Moose. It's going to hit VOD on August 30th. It's starring John Travolta and Devon Sawa. And it's based on, I guess, loosely based on a real life story that happened with Fred Durst about a super fan who gets real stalkery and it looks kind of like a thriller. But I don't know. What do you guys think of the trailer? You look okay?
Looks pretty dumb.
Pretty dumb.
It like gave like a lot away. Like the dude breaks into his house, he ties Devon Sawa up, they like wrestle, they're fighting like with a net. Like I mean, I pretty much assume I know most of the movie now. Like pretty sure
maybe they'll have some rug to pull, maybe not.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure like that's kind of the movie. I don't know what like kind of big reveal they could have, but like it's just a super fan breaks into a person's house. I don't know.
It seems like they're putting a lot of eggs into the John Travolta being charismatic basket, and it's not coming off for me. Like his character does not seem interesting to me. Like I don't know. Like
he just because he's like I just wanted an autograph. Like
he's not. Yeah. Okay. Like it's and it's also like it's a tale as old as time. Like there's movies about this already. So not that should inhibit anybody from making a similar movie, but it just doesn't seem like it's breaking any of the molds.
And he looks weird, but like not weird enough. Like you're like, yeah, okay, I understand you're trying to make him weird. That's what I think when I see him. I don't think like, that's disturbing. I'm just like, I understand that you wanted to make John Travolta look weird.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's
it's very calculated weird.
Yeah, it's just like
it doesn't feel,
but it's
unless there's some like really intense purpose for that character and like a pathos that we obviously can't see in a trailer without seeing what's going on. But like I don't see it really getting on my radar. And your boy is not a Fred Durst boy, so I'm just already kind of poised to not give a shit.
Dude, chainsaw, skin your ass for all, Randy.
Well, as long as you don't touch my chocolate-covered starfish or whatever the fuck.
Take them to the Matthews.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's
great. Glad I got that reference correct.
Can I touch your golden cobra? Is that okay?
I mean, you can tell me whatever you want, as long as you keep rolling. Rolling.
All right. So yeah, that's a movie that's coming out. There's another trailer that dropped for Zombieland 2 Double Tap that's going to be released on October 18th of this year. They've got Ruben Fleischer, who directed the original, is coming back, directed the sequel. They got the whole cast coming back. They also got Luke Wilson and Rosario Dawson up in this joint.
Dude, when Luke Wilson showed up in this trailer, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. The only thing is they got that Silicon Valley guy. If they had got Michael Cera to be in this movie opposite of Luke Wilson, that shit probably would have made my day. Like,
they might have gotten. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they probably tried.
Probably. Like,
that's got to be the first choices. Everybody thinks of those two as a category.
Yeah, like that joke would have been like, that would have killed it, like if it was Michael Cera. But it's still a pretty funny joke. But
it doesn't play
like,
hard. Yeah,
it's not like I mean, it looks very much in line with the first one. I don't like. It was not a very serious first movie. Like it was all for gags or whatever, and it was funny enough. So it kind of seems like they're hitting that mark. Like it's not a but the original was never a huge gut buster for me. Probably because I couldn't help at the time but compare it a lot to Shaun of the Dead, which is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
But just because zombie comedies were not everywhere at the time. So I mean, and this one just kind of like seems like it's following in the footsteps of the original. So I mean, more of the same. I'm okay with it. I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks okay. I kind of feel similarly. It didn't move me greatly in one way or another. So like, okay, that'll probably be fun.
Yeah, it looks on par.
It's not a sequel that
as
I'm
a
clamoring
sequel to
for.
the first one. Yeah, it's been so long that it's like, yeah, I mean, it looks on par, but like, again, like I don't care enough about the series to be very excited. So it's like, I know, didn't they have like a TV show at one point that like got like 2 episodes or some shit?
I don't know. I think
Not
they might have
done.
shot a pilot, but then it didn't go past that.
Really? I thought it was on like
I think
Hulu
so.
or some shit. But it like quickly
There's like
is
Z
like.
Nation was a movie or a show that was like a comedy zombie thing. I think.
Pretty sure this had a show. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah,
Actually, I probably won't.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Well,
I know they
honesty's
honestly
a
like a pilot, but didn't go further. Yeah. Actually, I probably will.
Actually, I will now just because I want to be right.
Okay.
Nothing more motivating than that.
Uh-huh.
Not for me.
Cool. So yeah, that's coming out in October. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'm sure we might be talking about it. We'll see. That's pretty much all I had for news. We do have a few voicemails this week we got to get to. So we had a couple from last week that we were unable to air due to technical difficulties, and then we got one new one this week. So let's go ahead and work through those. The first one we've got here is from Jim. So let's go ahead and see what Jim has to say. Here we go. Hey, Jim. Thanks for calling. Jim's got some pipes on him, doesn't he? He can really.
Yeah, he does.
Dude,
He's
insane.
really hotline screaming it.
Ever
Woo.
since you left the country, choose. Ooh.
I appreciate it.
So yeah, I don't. What? So to answer his question, what's like? I guess one of the scariest or the scariest moment in any horror movie you guys have seen that gets you every time.
I don't know. I feel real jaded now. I think we touched a little bit on this on like the 200 episode where we talked about like some scary scene or like memorable scenes. But like as far like I feel like I don't get that scared anymore. I don't know if you guys feel the same kind of way. Like I feel I feel the tension, but like once that's gone, I wouldn't say like, oh, that was a scary scene. I just like experiencing the tension in the moment, but it doesn't like leave a lasting like effect, like I don't know if that makes
Yeah, I mean,
sense.
there's not a lot of movies that leave me thinking about it afterwards, and that's kind of my litmus test for for scary moments that are, I don't know, they gotta stick with me for a while, or they gotta make me like
Yeah.
look twice when I'm in my house at night alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like, and a lot of those were from childhood. Probably the first one I can remember from childhood was in Jaws, that scene where what's his dick is underwater, and he like goes up to a log or whatever, and a head rolls out of it. That head rolling out, I was terrified I was going to see a head in my bedroom the night that I watched that movie. And for like 3 days, I would like turn on the lights with my eyes closed and shit. So that stuck with me. And then another one that was more of like teenager to like early adulthood was when I first saw The Exorcist. That Pazuzu face, man, that shit stuck with
Yeah, I
me.
remember you
Like,
saying that.
I actually like went and got my appendix out and watched that shit like right after surgery, and I was alone. It was like right around Halloween too, and I watched it like late one night in my hospital room, and that face like was haunting me at night. So yeah, I'll give it to those two probably. There's a few others that kind of like rank, but they're really more have to do with me being a child at the time.
Yeah.
A child. What about you, Juice?
I guess I would have to like go to the same. Like, what kept me up at night as a kid? One thing that like I specifically remember having like these like visuals of like seeing like is I guess like the secret door from like when like Leatherface just busts out of his secret door and it's like no big thing, he just like busts out of it. I like used to like lay in bed at night and like my closet would like face or my bed was like facing the closet and like imagine that like just busting like out of the door or whatever. So
Kool-Aid
maybe
Man style. All right.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, because that I like the way they do it is just like bust out, fucking hammers a bitch, and just drags them away. Like he just. So that's kind of scary. But again, I can't think of anything. The only thing I was thinking of, it's not. You see, I don't. I just think it's a really good, effective scene of like Hereditary when the mom is like banging her head against the attic door, and you're like, oh shit! Like, and then she's in the attic and she's like sawing her head off. Like that shit. Like that's a good scene. It like, did it scare me? Probably. It made me say like, oh shit! Like it made me go like, holy shit! Like it affected me. So yeah, something like that. I guess for a more modern day film. Or that, or like another like Suspiria when that chick is like dancing and she gets all fucked up like that. Like there are scenes that like affect me, and I'm like, oh my god. But like, is it scary?
Honestly,
I don't know.
The scariest thing is still like the cheapest thing, like which is jump scares. Like that. I'm a total mark for a jump scare, especially if like somebody jumps out at me like in real life. Like it's runs in the family that all you got to do is say my name when I don't realize you're behind me, and I'll go ah. Like it's not hard to do that, but like it feels weird to even praise that because that's everywhere. There's no like nobody like specific tailored that technique in one movie. It just kind of exists. It's just kind of like human nature to be startled at things. Being startled and being scared are not the same.
Yeah. I agree.
That jump scare that's in The Conjuring 2 where the little girl is watching TV and the old man pops out from behind of it and says like, get out of my house or whatever. That scares the fuck out of me every time. It gets me.
Yeah.
That and like people being stuck in closed, small, tight spaces freaks me out pretty hard. That's like a consistent thing that bothers me. And then of course that fucking tooth man is just like terrifying. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it.
Every time.
Yeah, those are definitely my big ones. But yeah, sorry, G Baby, the Frighteners, not so good, but Innkeepers, yeah, pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't let you down because like it is a movie I like. I just kind of focused on the negatives because it really struck me having seen it the first time and liked it a little bit more. So anyway,
ever since you left the country. Yeah, so let's go ahead and check out our next voicemail. We got a voicemail from Steve. Scuba Steve! Damn you. Let's go ahead and see what Steve has to say. Here we go. Hey, Steve. Thanks for calling, man. It's good to hear from you. Uh, there's there's a lot in there to unpack. I don't know. I don't know that we're even like knowledgeable enough to be considered film snobs. Really, I think that gives us too much credit. I don't
You
even.
got an
think we
imposter
warrant-
syndrome over here. So
We got a what?
You confuse snobbery with just cranky old manness.
Yeah, right.
we've just seen a lot of shit, maybe, but
Seen some shit in my day.
that scene is so fucking funny. It's absolutely hilarious, and like anybody who like wasn't laughing was disturbed. It's like that weird, perfect, fucking like yin yang of like disturbingly odd or like confusingly like bizarre and so fucking funny. It hits that same pleasure point that like Tim and Eric's sketches do for me, where it's like this is so insane.
Yeah.
You just gotta laugh.
I think it's funny like that, like the relief of feeling like the permission to laugh at that scene, you know, like people watching it being like, what the fuck? And like being like, oh, we can laugh. Ha ha ha. You know, like you can kind of, in our theater, like it was pretty slim too, like when we watched it and like everybody was just cracking up, but it was like a collective, like you could
think
feel
everybody
that
in our
kind of
theater-
feeling. Yeah. Like, oh, let's all laugh together.
I heard at
This
least
is
one
freaking us
"what the
out."
fuck" from the back of the theater. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
That dude's getting milked.
Milk.
They're milking this bitch.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think like what we used to, I mean, I feel like in the past year we've definitely increased the show at least by like 30 minutes,
Oh,
probably.
yeah. And
We
really,
used
the only hindrance is A, our time, and B, the amount of time we can upload at any given month. So
Yeah, that's true.
there are
Yeah.
limitations, unfortunately. But
Yeah, the
we do
hosting costs-
we're putting out more
costs
and more.
more.
We're trying to hit those mini episodes and stuff too. So we're trying to take care of you, Steve. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for complimenting us on our supposed expertise.
Yeah. If this was our full-time jobs, you'd get like fucking 40 hours of straight chilling, running their mouths.
Dude,
a
you could
week,
listen to
Dude,
me
when
take
I'm
a shit.
casting,
That would make it happen.
when I'm casting Halloween ends from my mansion, because this podcast has done so
The
good.
straight chilling Googleplex,
Google.
like campus.
That'd be
Dude,
dope.
If we all just pull it together, we can all live together, South Korea style. We'll all just
Yeah,
live together.
commune style. Yeah.
Come on, bring it on
Great.
over, boys.
That'd be great. Bring it on over.
Bring it over.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Steve, man. It's good to hear from you. Let's play our last voicemail of the day. We got a voicemail from Becky, fan favorite Becky. Let's see what Becky's got to say.
My boo.
Becky knows what buttons to press.
That's your lover,
Yeah.
Randy.
So yeah, I intentionally avoided reading this or listening to this beforehand because I wanted to be surprised by the question. I actually did see this news article though, and I was thinking about it. I really don't know. Like, does it matter? Like, it matters exclusively to families and children, and I think that from that perspective, I could see an argument being made. But this is not a family and children only holiday. Like, this is a holiday that all kinds of people embrace as adults. And people tend to do stuff on the weekend anyway because they're adults, especially when they are adults. They get to fucking they have to, and they do party whenever is possible. But it's a season. Like, I don't see why you would change it. From where I'm sitting, it doesn't make sense to change it. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Man. Halloween is October 31st. That's just how it is. I think that makes sense. And it's like, so yeah. How hard is it to take your kid for a walk for an hour on a Thursday evening? Serious? To take you trick-or-treating? Get off your fucking ass and
All
go
the
walk
parents.
around the block.
Damn.
It's not that hard.
Bob's
That's all I'm
pulling
saying.
parents hard.
Yeah. I realized that
so
I
lazy.
didn't. I listened to it. I was like, how do I feel about this? And I guess I came to the same conclusion. Like, well, yeah, I mean, we do stuff on the Saturday, but like, why would you change the day? Just still do stuff on a Saturday. I guess like with kids, like. I guess with kids, like, you can't take kids out on Saturday because nobody's going to be like, oh, you're trick-or-treating tonight. As adults, we do that. But as kids, like, I don't know, because I don't have kids, and honestly, I don't really give a shit about people who have kids.
Well, this is actually reminding me of another issue that just recently came up, which was somebody wrote this long article for some publication talking about how people without kids shouldn't go to Disneyland and how they're just wasting up space for... And I'm like,
What?
Fuck you. 100% fuck
Well,
you.
yeah. I guess I can't. I guess I don't have a dog in the fight because, like, I don't have kids and, like, I
Definitely don't have a dog.
I don't really care about your kid problems, so.
Have kid problems. I feel bad for you, son.
Yeah, I got 99 problems, but them kids ain't one.
They ain't one. And the thing is, like, if it was like, I don't, if it was a holiday specifically tailored just for kids, or if it wasn't celebrated by adults, who gives a shit? But it obviously is, and it's been that way for over like at least a couple hundred years. I don't know the full history of Halloween, but I think it's definitely been that way in this country for fucking forever. I mean, it's not a very compelling reason to change it, just to convenience like parents who don't want to go for a walk one night.
I wouldn't be as mad as Bob, I don't think, if they did change it, but
It's
like,
just, that's
I don't
such
know.
a dumb reason.
That's kind of dumb.
It doesn't actually either. If they decided to do that, it really wouldn't change my behavior at all.
Me
Like,
either.
The only
That's
thing
the
that would
thing.
change is when I purchase candy. Maybe.
Man,
Yeah, I agree.
Halloween is October 31st. That's just all there is to it.
Get off Bob's lawn.
Yeah, seriously.
If you're on Bob's lawn, you're not getting candy. That's for fucking sure.
Not if it's
not
not October 31st. That's for fucking sure. If
We
you knock on
are-
the door on the 28th. I'm telling you to leave.
Yeah.
Get out.
We're
Come
getting off.
Get off my property.
We're getting off Bob's lawn, and we're getting way down in the hole now.
Oh yeah. We got time for public shaming. Oh yeah. If you do want to leave us a voicemail, you can do that by calling 904-638-3231. Justin, take it away.
All right, Bob. We got to round out the month. We have to round it out. The last time we spoke with you a week ago, we were up to 13 DVDs that you had purchased this month. Horror only is what we're counting. This is a segment where we talk about Bob's ever-growing, massive DVD collection.
Yeah.
Bob, what have you purchased this past week to finish out July? What do we have? Show me the stack.
Show
Time
us
for
the
public
stack.
shaming.
Oh,
Here, I have it sitting
Oh
right
no,
here.
there's so many more since last week.
Bruh! How many
So-
is that?
There's 9.
Oh,
Holy fuck.
Bob,
I
we are
noticed
going
Mulholland Drive in that stack.
finish
That's good.
July with 22 DVDs you purchased. One time, last month you had, Vinegar Syndrome or somebody had a half off sale.
Sale.
Yeah.
And then you were like, Amazon Prime, and you got up to 13. Why did you buy 9 DVDs this week?
Okay, so actually,
who had a sale?
so several of these are not horror movies. I'll go through them and y'all can figure it out what you want to count, what you don't want to count. So one of these movies I got for 50 cents. First off, also I got a couple more Criterions because they're still
Barnes and
half
Noble
off
sale.
at Barnes and
Okay.
Noble. Yeah. And also there's like a ton of stuff that's on sale on Amazon still. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I got
Bob, go
So
through the
plenty
list.
more to
What'd
come
you
next
get?
week.
Yeah, so I got Dune, which I don't think would be considered a horror movie.
No, probably.
Okay.
I
I'm
would.
working through David Lynch. So I got that and Mulholland Drive from David Lynch. I don't know if you want to count that either, but
I would
They're
count
Lynch,
Mulholland
though. Yeah. Okay.
I think that one. I think is like it's not. It wouldn't pass most people's horror purity test, but I think it's spooky enough to count.
Okay.
that's fine. Dazed and Confused, which is just a comedy. I got Last House on the Left, which I'd never seen before. It's
Just
like
a comedy.
Wes Craven's first movie. I'm curious
Yeah.
about it. I got Ninja 3, which I haven't seen, but I don't think it's a horror movie.
I don't know.
It's
Genre.
yeah, it's definitely it's supposed to be kind of like a genre mashup of like I guess it is. I read somewhere that it's also got some sort of like an exorcism scene, so maybe like loosely
Okay.
in one scene it's
We're
kinda
counting
spooky.
it.
All right. Humanoids from the
Got
Deep, which is
Yeah.
which is definitely a horror movie. Roger
Which is
Corman.
which is a rom com, of course.
Weird Science, which is just an 80s comedy. Wouldn't count that. I got the Blade trilogy for super cheap, which is definitely horror. And then I got the one I got for 50 cents is Nicolas Cage, The Wicker Man.
The good one. Oh man,
Come with the bees.
dude, did
came
you
with
watch
these.
the punch the bitch out scene in
Not
a bear
the-
costume?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited.
Oh man.
There should be just there
So-
should just be an option for that on the main menu of that DVD. Watch
I don't know.
Nick Cage punch out a woman.
Weird Science is like Frankenstein based. Can we count that? I don't know.
I
Night-
That's
If
Screwball
not, I
comedy or-
think we would like land on like 19.
Okay.
We'll take out Dune. We'll take out Weird Science. That's 20, and then there was one more that
I
you
don't
had
understand
mentioned.
why
Confused.
we're
Yeah, Dazed and
I don't
Confused.
understand. Why do we decide to draw the line between horror and the other movies in the first place? It's
To
still
be
jet ski money.
fair, It's true.
That's still jet ski money, baby. That's still a chunk of jet ski that ain't in your pocket.
I felt like the segment would run too long if we talked about movies that aren't only horror.
Obviously,
we,
that's what the
podcast.
people want.
we do have some time restraints. So, okay, I'll be fair and stick with the rules, and I'll say Bob ended at 19 horror DVDs for the month of July. Okay.
Steelbook Blues. cases.
Yeah, and I gotta go. What was June? I have the number somewhere. I think it was either 13 or 4. I think it was 14.
I think it was 14. Yeah.
14, yeah. So Bob, you're sitting at a 2-month count of 33 horror DVDs. Horror DVDs. Okay. Are you surprised, Bob? Did you think it was high? Now that you're getting a count to this, or are you surprised by the sheer number of DVDs?
How high is your
little
shame
bit.
rising?
A little bit, yeah.
Little
It's
bit.
actually, my shame has actually risen. For sure. It's not that high because it's not like I can't eat, you know. But I'm definitely feeling some shame. I probably need to chill the fuck out, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll
God
see.
for those
We'll
cup of
see.
noodles, man.
We
Ooh.
see where we get come spooky season. Spooky season's rolling in, Bob. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
See.
that's apocalypse now for you, buddy. You gotta manage to
We're
make rent
already
in
at
October.
33 for 2 months. So God knows that. Ooh.
Problematic. I'm gonna start lying to you guys. I didn't get anything this week.
Bob, that's
Just
how you know
stacks
the
of
addiction's
DVDs
getting
lying.
worse. You gotta lie to your friends. You gotta
That's
hide
true.
them throughout the
You
house.
really
True.
got a problem.
You
That
got
is
like
just
steel
accurate.
books like in the back of the toilet. Like you gotta like bring it up.
At
Like
a
in
dinner
Black
party and you go
Christmas.
to the bathroom for 2 hours to watch Black Christmas on Arrow release.
Oh, guys, I
on
gotta
a
take
portable
wicked
DVD
dump. I'll be back in
I was
exactly
just taking a
94
massive shit.
minutes.
What? I was just taking a massive shit.
I have to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space right now.
Right now. It's a steel book. Oh my god.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh my god.
Oh, God.
That's it. That's what we got. That's all we got this week. We're gonna be back next week with a new episode. As always, it's gonna be a Patreon pick next week. We're gonna be talking about Cujo, which was chosen by the one, the only Hydraberg.
Hydraberg.
Cujo.
So tune in for that. In the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. We're on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. We also have a Slack channel going where we talk about the movie of the week. We talk about video games, we talk about music, we talk about news, talk about all kinds of stuff. If you want to join that, just hit us up on one of our social media platforms and let me know. I'll send you a link so you can do that. Play video games with us tomorrow, or watch us play video games on Twitch. 7 o'clock?
Yeah, we're gonna play
Eastern
7
Standard
p.m.
Time?
Eastern Standard Time. Yep.
Yes. I think it's everything I have to show. Oh, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, if you're local and you're familiar with GAM, the Game Arts and Music Convention Party thing that happens in Jacksonville, it's gonna be happening August 17th. We're gonna have a table set up there. So
Whoa.
come hang out with us, shake some hands, talk some spookiness, and I don't know, it'll be fun. It's always a good time. GAM's fun.
Cool.
Yay. So that's it.
Yay.
That's all I got.
Cool.
Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Happy Halloween, motherfucker.